So now here we have VPC. VPC stands for Virtual Private Cloud. Our own isolated network we can create in AWS cloud. Our own isolated network we can create in the AWS cloud. Okay, the scope of the VPC is the region. Okay, we can logically split into subnets. Okay, the scope of subnets are available zones. So we have the zone level, we have the subnets, region level, the VPC we have. Okay, so then here we have like a, by default, AWS provides default VPC every region and one subnet on every available zone. On every available zone, there by default, without doing anything also, is going to provide that. But very long back, AWS used to provide, the very long back AWS used to provide like only they used to provide the classical kind of VPC. That means it's a shared kind of thing. But as of now, today, they're going to provide the they're going to provide the like a default VPC in each and every region they're providing. Depends upon our requirement. In every region, they're providing those requirements. Okay. Yeah. Any doubts?
No.
Okay. So then here we are going to specify the CIDR range. Okay. And we can create custom VPCs we are creating. By default, we are getting default one, but we can create a custom also we can create. Okay, custom VPCs also we can create. Okay, so those custom VPCs while creating, we need to provide the CIDR range. So we need to choose our own range of CIDR range we need to provide. So we need to provide CIDR range we need to provide. Okay, so those CIDR ranges also we need to use it. So which of the CIDR ranges we need to use? So those CIDR ranges we need to provide. Okay, so then here we are going to choose the CIDR range, maybe 10 dot series or 171 series, 192 series. Can you guess why we are using those ranges itself? Why you are using those ranges itself? So why we are using those range of IPs only? Say in this series only why we are choosing. So why we are choosing in that range is those are like uh, the private ranges we need to choose. Okay, so now as of now for the BPC I'm going to choose 10.11.0.0/16. Okay, so this is the range I have chosen for the VPC, and from that itself, I need to choose those ranges from the like 10.11.0.0/24. I have chosen for the subnet one. Okay, so 10.11.1.0/24. Okay. So it depends upon our requirement. We are going to create multiple subnets. Why we are creating multiple subnets, sir? Why we are creating multiple subnets? Okay, so subnets are zone wise, and one more other reason is some of the subnets are public subnets, some of them are private subnets. 10.11.2.0/24 I am choosing 10.11.3.0/24. Okay, so these we have, like here we are going to choose the subnets. So maybe public subnets we can choose or private subnets we can choose. What is the difference between public and private subnets? So what is the difference between public and private subnets? So the public subnet, the public subnet resources are accessible over
Globally. Internet
yeah, over the internet. Those are available. Private subnet resources
region.
only within the VPC. Those are accessible only within the VPC.
Those are
Okay, so before what is that VPC we have? So I want to make it some of the subnets as public, some of them as private. Say suppose this one I want to keep in zone 1A. I want to keep okay in zone 1A. I want to keep okay. So public we need to keep, and private also we can keep in 1A, and public 1B, private 1B I want to choose. Okay, say here I need to keep that public and private. I want to make it the public and private. I want to make those things. Okay, so what is that difference? So why we are going to keep two zones? Why we are going to keep two zones? So we want to keep the servers in the some of them in public, some of them in the private. We need to keep. Yeah, any doubts in this? By keeping /24, can you calculate how many IPs we are getting?
2 to the power of 8.
2 to the power of 8 means 256. And 256, how many IPs are reserved?
One one IP is reserved.
5 IPs are reserved.
Five.
AWS
Yeah,
is
yes.
reserving 5 IPs. With that, technically, we can keep 251 IPs. Okay, the 251 IPs we are getting. Okay, so why we are getting 251 IPs are like here we are using like 5 IPs are reserved by AWS. 5 IPs have been reserved by AWS. Okay, why they reserve also we'll discuss. Technically, we are keeping what is the risk with this kind of 24 is? What is the risk is? Like if you want to keep more number of instances, okay, if you want to keep more number of instances, what is the problem? Like maximum number of resources we can keep is just 251. But when we are creating auto scaling kind of thing, we may scale up more number of instances. At that moment, we don't get like more IPs are not possible. So at that moment, that those IPs are not possible. So that is the reason we are going to use like only 251 IPs are not enough. That's the reason in the real time we are going to keep /20. We are going to keep so /20. Like we are going to use if you use /20, how many IPs we are getting?
2 to the power of 10.
2 to the power of no. If you use /20, if you use /20, how
12, 12. 2 to the power of 12.
2 to the power of 12? That is equal to almost 4096.
12.
4096 IPs we are getting. Okay, so we are getting total 4096 IPs we are getting. Okay, so those companies we are going to use. Okay, so, but here we created those subnets, right? So what is the meaning of here? These subnets are in the custom VPC. This is a not default VPC. In the custom VPC, these subnets are, can you guess, public or private?
Private.
Yeah, by default, those are private. Okay, if you want to make them public, if you want to make them public, we need to attach internet gateway. We need to attach the internet gateway need to be attached. If you want to make them the public, then we need to attach the internet gateway
Internet
need to be
gateway.
attached. Okay, but by default in the default VPC, by default we'll get an internet gateway. All are public. Okay, so try to understand. In the default VPC, all are public subnets and internet gateway also comes by default. Internet gateway also comes by default. Okay, in the custom VPC, what's happening? In the custom VPC,
They
by
are
default, those are
private. We
yeah,
need to attach internet gateway.
yeah. We need to attach
Internet gateway to make
internet
public.
gateway need to be
Attach.
attached. Internet gateway need to be attached. Then only that will become
Public. Public subnet.
public. Okay, so then only it's going to become the public. Okay, then if you don't attach the internet gateway, what is going to happen?
They cannot be accessed by internet.
Yeah,
They
we
are private.
cannot access by
Internet.
internet. So that's the only within the VPC those are accessible. Okay, so then what is the role of internet gateway here? What is the role of internet gateway? What is the role of internet gateway? Say internet gateway is doing two things. Internet gateway is making subnet public and providing internet also for those resources. Okay, it is making subnet is public. It is making and like it is making those resources are public also. Okay, so it's making those resources are public also. It is making. Okay, any doubts on this? Any doubts on this? Yeah, any doubts? So what is the role of internet gateway?
It will make public and give internet.
Yeah, hello. Okay, so then here by attaching internet gateway, that subnet will become public. Okay, and what is the other role it is doing is
Providing internet.
internet also. What is that meaning of internet? What is that meaning of that internet is like it's coming the like a public access means it's inbound. Okay, so then private access means sorry, internet access means internet access means what?
Outbound.
Yeah, outbound rule. That means from the instance it is getting that internet also. Okay. So then here, what is the meaning of private subnet? How it will become a private subnet? how it will become a private subnet? By default, in the custom VPC, it is becoming
Private only.
private only, it is becoming. So by default, it is becoming a private itself. Okay, so then here we have a special type of devices are there. Those are called as NAT devices. Okay, in that we have NAT instance and NAT gateway we have. Okay, so now here we have in the NAT instance and NAT gateway. So what is the purpose of NAT instance or NAT gateway is? So those are the special kind of devices which will provide internet to private subnet resources. Okay, so what is that meaning? So what are the NAT devices we have? We have two types of devices. One is NAT instance and second one is NAT
NAT
gateway.
gateway.
Okay, so what is the difference between them? So what is the difference between NAT gateway or NAT devices and internet gateway? What is the difference? What is the difference between them?
NAT devices, NAT instance will provide internet to private subnets only, I think.
So NAT, yeah, will provide the internet to private subnet. What it is not providing? What it is not
Public,
providing? It's not providing
public subnets.
yeah, public access is not provided. Okay, so what is the use case of NAT devices is, so assume we have some instances in private subnet, okay, for patching purpose or for like maybe for the patching purpose or for to access some APIs, they want internet. They want the internet. Okay, so for patching purpose or to access the some APIs, they want the internet. Okay, at that moment, like what we required is uh,
NAT.
we want to attach NAT gateways. What is the problem if I attach internet gateway? What is going to happen? If I attach the internet gateway, what is going to happen?
It won't support to private subnets, so we can't access.
Yeah, say suppose no, no, it will provide the public access also. That's risky.
Oh,
Okay, so that is the reason we are attaching NAT gateway or NAT instance we are attaching. Okay, so that is the purpose we are going to use NAT gateway or NAT instance we are attaching. Okay,
okay.
so then NAT we have two types of devices. One is NAT gateway, second one is NAT instance we have. Okay, so with the NAT gateway, is a managed service. That means AWS itself will provide that. Whereas NAT instance, we need to create it. Okay, so what is the difference between NAT gateway and NAT instances? So NAT gateway, both are same purpose. What is the purpose? What is the
Provide
purpose?
provide internet access to private subnets.
Yeah, private internet access. What is the use case? What is the
For
use case of?
patching purpose,
Yeah, for patching purpose or
access to some
access the
APIs.
internet. Yeah, they want the APIs access. Okay, so that's we need internet to that. But what is the problem if I attach internet gateway? What is going to happen?
It will be risky.
Yeah, it is going to get
Public.
public access also is coming. Internet also comes and public access also it comes. That is risky kind of thing. Okay, so that is the purpose we are going to use
NAT
NAT.
gateway or
Okay, so NAT gateway, NAT instance, which is managed service.
NAT gateway is a managed service.
Yeah, that means AWS itself is responsible for that. But we need to create our own instance, NAT instance we need to use. Okay, so NAT instance we need to provide. Okay, so by default, say suppose here I'll ask one question. If I make it, if I attach internet gateway, that will become public subnet. Okay, so if I attach uh, uh, NAT gateway, if I attach NAT gateway, it will become,
Private service.
yeah, is it correct or wrong? So if I attach a NAT instance or NAT gateway, it will become a private subnet or wrong. Second statement is wrong because even if you don't attach a NAT gateway also, by default that is
Private
private itself. But what is the special use case we have?
for patching or
For
API
internet is required. That is the purpose we required
NAT gateway.
NAT gateway is required. I hope you got it right.
Yes.
So then here we have two more resources are there. NACL versus security groups. So NACL versus security groups we have. What is the difference between NACL and security groups are? Okay, so what is the security group you are understanding?
Inbound and outbound rules.
Yeah, so it's going to provide firewall rules. Firewall,
Rules.
firewall rules
Policy.
it is providing. Okay, so it's going to provide firewall rules it is providing. Okay, what is the meaning of firewall rules? So it's going to filter the traffic. What is the traffic it is coming based on the IP port number? It's going to filter the traffic. Okay, so but security group is a firewall rule at the instance level. Firewall rule is at the inside that, like at the instance level, we are going to configure. But NACL is, say NACL stands for Network Access Control List. Network Access Control List. NACL is going to provide the firewall rules, okay, at subnet level. Okay, so here both are firewall rules itself, but NACL is at
Subnet level.
yeah, NACL is at the subnet level we have. Okay, whereas this one like NAC NACL is the like a firewall rules at subnet level. Okay, then security group is the firewall rules at inside
Instance.
the subnet. Inside the subnet, we may have an instance or RDS or load balancer, whatever it may be. Okay, those are inside the subnet. We have these resources. Mostly we're attaching to the. Mostly we're attaching to the. Mostly we're attaching to the like instances, but not only instance, we may have an RDS database or load balancer, but inside the subnet, these resources are there. So normally assume we have a community apartments. At the outside entrance, we'll have some security, right? And at your flat also, you can configure some security kind of things. Okay, outside the like, like external firewall rules are
NACL.
Firewall rules are NACL we have. Okay, internal rules are
Security groups.
internal firewall rules are called as
Security groups.
security groups. Okay, say this is the basic difference, but even we have more differences are there. Okay, so those we'll discuss. Now in the NACL, what we can configure is we can configure allow and any kind of rules. Both are possible, but in the security group, only allow rules are possible. Okay, so only allow kind of rules are possible. Where only allow rules are possible.
Security groups.
Security
Inside.
groups. Okay. So what is the meaning of allow any means? So assume I have like a, 80 port have allow. And the same another rule we have 80 port I have Denny. But if both the like conflict of rules we have, then which one it will take the precedence is? Which one it will take precedence is? Okay, so now here we have one more rule is there, that is called as priority, rule priority. What is the meaning of rule priority is? So now for the 80 allow rule, I have given 100 priority. And if I give the rule number 200 for the Denny, 100 or 200. So both are same rule, but one is allowing, one is denying. Okay, then which one will take the precedence here? Allow or deny?
Hello.
Yeah, allow, because 100 is having
More priority.
more priority. 100 is having more priority. Okay, so 100 is having more priority here. That is the reason that is going to take more precedence it is going to take. Any doubts on this? So we don't have all these kind of allowed any kind of rules and rule priorities. We don't have it
Security group.
in the security group. Only we are what are allowed. Only those are we are going to configure. Only those are we are going to configure. Yeah, any doubts on this? Okay, and even we have a stateless and stateful. That also one of the difference. I'll explain that also. Okay, so now like in the interviews, people will ask us the difference between internet gateway versus
NAT.
NAT gateway, internet gateway versus a NAT gateway. Then like a NAT gateway versus NAT instance. Okay, NAT gateway versus NAT instance. Then NACL versus NACL network access control list or NACL versus security group. Okay, and one more public versus private subnets also. Okay, so what are the differences between public and private subnets also? People will ask us. So these all the differences we should able to explain. Okay, yeah, any doubts on this?
Sir, what is the full form of NAT, sir?
NAT is network address translation. Network address translation. So we are the NAT is like resides in the public subnet. it is giving the internet to private subnet resources. Okay, so it is providing internet, just like I hope you will enable hotspot right in your mobile. Like if your friend mission doesn't have internet, you can enable the hotspot, right?
Yes.
Okay, so like this here, NAT device need to reside in the public subnet, and that is giving the internet
Public subnet.
to the private subnet resources. It is providing the internet. So if the NAT device is in the private subnet, that device itself we don't get the
Internet.
internet. Then we can't give to.
Yes.
Yeah, so that is the reason definitely NAT git device or NAT instances we need to keep it in NAT device or NAT instance definitely we need to keep
Private.
in the public subnet, but need to attach to the subnet which we want to make it private. Which you want to make it private, for that we need to attach it. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So now, like, what is the difference between NACL versus security group? NACL versus security group.
NACL is a subnet level firewall rule,
Yeah, subnet
whereas
level firewall rule.
Security is
security is inside the subnet.
Inside the subnet, what are the resources we have? Either at the instance level,
yes and
RDS balancer.
RDS or load balancers. These all the resources also require the firewall rules. What are the other differences we have?
rule priority.
NACL allow and deny.
Allow and
Deny.
deny rules. Okay. Then
Rule priority.
one more is
Whereas security groups we can only allow.
okay. So only we can configure allow kind of rules. Only those are allowed, except that others are not possible to allow. Okay. So now here we have one more is there. I have one security group rule Denny and sorry yeah, I have one like a NACL rule Denny and security group rule allow. Then can I connect to that instance? Can I connect to that instance?
Maybe
So what is the difference? My like NACL level is Denny we have. Security group we have allow. Then can I connect to that instance or not? So
No.
because that is blocked
NACL on
at the NACL level
firewall
itself that is getting blocked.
block.
Okay, at the NACL level itself that is getting
Block.
blocked. Okay, so that is like if you want to restrict any traffic, mostly we are blocking at NACL level itself. We will block it. Okay, at the NACL level itself, we'll block it. We don't bring them till
Instance level.
yeah instance level. We don't get that due to the security reasons. Okay, so due to that security reasons, we don't bring them till
Instance level.
instance level. We don't bring that. I hope you got it right.
Yes.
Okay, so then here we have NACL rules are called as stateless, and the security group rules are stateful. Okay, so what is the meaning of stateless is allow and any rule. If I add a allow rule, automatically outbound rule also we are going to get it. But if I use like a any kind of say explicitly we need to add in the NACL. Means if I add in like a NACL rule, if I add a NACL rule, what I need to perform? If I add it in the inbound rule, if I add, even in the outbound rule also, I need to specifically add that rule. But in the security group, if I add a inbound rule, automatically that rule is added in outbound also. Okay, so that is stateful. Okay, in the stateless, what we need to do? If I add a rule in the inbound, explicitly I need to add that rule even in the outbound rule also, I need to add it. In the outbound rule also, I need to add that rule. Okay. So these are all the four differences we have. And between NAT gateway and NAT instance, what is the managed service?
NAT gateway is a managed
NAT gateway
service.
is the managed service. That means that high availability, that load balancing, okay, scalability, okay, patching, okay, maintenance. Who will take care?
AWS.
AWS will take care. So that's we no need to worry about that. Okay, so that's AWS will maintain. We no need to worry about all these. That's the responsibility of the AWS itself. That's the responsibility of the AWS itself. It's going to take care. Okay. Yeah. Any doubts on this? Okay. So if it is NAT instance, that high availability, load balancing, scalability, patching, maintenance, all those who need to take care
AWS.
for NAT instance.
We need to take it.
Yeah, that's we need to take care that one.
In real time, we will use a NAT gateway or a NAT instance.
That depends upon the requirement.
Okay.
So that's both are for the same purpose. Mostly it's recommended to use NAT gateway. Okay.
Okay.
But NAT gateway, we can't customize our own security group rules. But in the NAT instance,
We can customize.
we can customize those.
Okay, I got it.
Okay. So our own rules need to be customized. Then we are going to use.
NAT instance.
Yes, yes. Okay. And there is one more difference. Elastic IP is mandatory for NAT gateway. Okay. So Elastic IP is mandatory for that. Okay. So these are all the differences we need to explain. Then there is one more very, very important is there. That is called as route table. So route table we have. So if we go for the route table, what is the meaning of route table is route table will specify how the routing rules is going to happen. Like within the VPC or across the multiple VPCs with the on-premises kind of infrastructure, how routing need to happen is going to be designed by routing rules. So we need to design the routing rules. Based on this, our routing is going to happen. So based on this, our routing is going to happen. Okay. So what is that meaning of routing rules? So now I'll try to explain. So now we have given VPC 10.11.0.0/16. We give the routing rule. Then by default we'll get a main route table will come. Okay. By default, if you don't create anything also within the VPC, we are getting one main route table we are getting, and that default round table like a rule we are getting is 10.11.0.0. This is the VPC CIDR we have given, and using the local router, like we are getting a local, this is an implicit router we are getting. Who is providing is AWS itself is providing an implicit router with that, and with the 10.11.0.0/16, any of the IP can communicate with any of that IP within the VPC. That means any IP in 10.11.0.0/16 can communicate with any IP. With the any IP, it's going to communicate. Okay, so that is the rule. It's internal communication. For that, we have the multiple subnets also. Okay, but within the VPC, any IP can communicate with any IP. Okay, this rule is helping us. So this rule is helping us to get these kind of things. Okay, so what is your understanding of route table? What is your understanding of route table? So route table is going to configure the routing rules within that subnet or VPC. Like based on these rules, routing is going to happen. And what is the default one is? What is the default rule is within that VPC, we are getting an implicit router we are getting. Okay, by default we are getting implicit router we are getting, and using that within any of that IP is going to communicate. Then, so try to understand what is this rule. We'll discuss. Local, what is that meaning of local is an implicit router is coming. Then if I add 0.0.0.0/0, this means any IP. If I attach internet gateway, what is going to happen is internally is going to communicate with the local, and from the outside, if any of the IP comes, that's going to communicate using internet gateway. If I add this rule, what is going to happen? Internal communication is going to happen using local implicit router, and the explicit communication is going to happen through internet gateway. Explicit communication is going to happen over
Internet gateway.
Internet gateway is going to happen. So that is the purpose we have. Like routing rules depends upon our requirement. We need to configure the these. Okay, then if I attach above like a routing or route table any subnet, that will become
Right.
public subnet. That will become the public subnet. Okay, if I have only this rule if I have, then that is called as
Implicit route.
that is a private only. Okay, if I want to make it any public subnet, I need to create an internet gateway attached to VPC. Then I need to create a route table with the internet gateway rule, and that need to be attached to
Route table.
to the subnet. The route table need to be attached to subnet. Then that will become
Public.
public. Then that will become the public. Okay, so now we'll discuss those steps. How to make subnet public. How to make the subnet public we'll discuss. Okay, create a subnet in custom VPC. By default, that would be private itself. Okay, and we'll get if we 10.0.0.0/16 local. Okay, by default, main route table is attached to that with this rule. If you have this rule only, we don't have any internet gateway connection. That is the reason it become private. Now create an internet gateway attached to VPC. If I attach to VPC also, it won't become. If I attach to VPC also, it won't become
Public.
public. If I attach to VPC also, it won't become public. What I need to do is don't edit main route table. So create a custom route table. So create a custom route table we have. Okay, in the custom route table, okay, say 10.11. This rule is mandatory. Then add one more rule, 0.0. With internet gateway. Okay, so with the internet gateway, we're going to attach that and add above routing rule or route table to subnets which we want to make
Public.
Which you want to make public. Okay, so these all the steps we need to do. Okay, so then we need to attach route table to subnet association, or even from subnet to route table association. Anything is fine. Okay, so then we have private subnets. They want internet this weekend as some patching activities going on. Some patching activities going on this weekend. Okay, so then what we need to do for this? So here some patching activities need to happen. Then what we need to do in this?
We need to remove internet gateway.
No. For the private subnets, internet gateway is not at all attached.
Okay.
Then we need to use NAT gateway or NAT instance, and any of that, both are not required. We have decided to use NAT gateway. Okay, then create NAT gateway in public subnet. Means don't create that in the private subnet. Okay, then make sure it has elastic IP. So an elastic IP is mandatory for that. Then create a new route table. So we need to create a new route table. Okay, so in that route table, 10.11. What is that 10.11 is our VPC CIDR. It is having a local, then 0.0.0. So here we need to attach that NAT gateway need to be attached, not internet gateway. And these need to be attached to
Subnet.
above route table need to
Route
attach
table.
to subnet which we want to
Make private.
provide
Internet access.
because it's already private subnet.
Yeah.
Don't attach to public subnet. Attach only to the
Private subnet.
private subnet. Okay. So assume once like a patching activity is done, bring back a main route table. So don't keep it permanent. Okay. So don't keep it permanent. Okay. So that means what is that meaning is the main route table will have only one rule. That is a private only. That rule is the 10.11.0.0/16 and which is having a local only. Bring back to this. So otherwise, what is going to happen?
Will be risky.
Is going to like having a internet also is risky itself because it may be exposing that and downloads unnecessary files. Okay, so in order to avoid that one, again our patching activity is done. We are like stopping that internet access also. Hence, we are providing that internet activity. We are providing. Yeah. Any doubts on this? Okay. Then here we have one more concept is there called as peering connection. So if we go for the peering connection, what is going to happen is like we have two VPCs. By default, the communication not going to come between the two VPCs. Okay, so that two VPCs are in the same region or multi-region or multiple accounts we have. We have between the multiple accounts. I want to communicate between them. Okay, so for that purpose, we need the VPC peering connection. Okay, so we require the VPC peering connection is required. Okay, so what is the purpose of it? I have two different VPCs. I want to establish the communication between those two VPCs. Then here, like what is the prerequisite between them is like in the reserved range of like in 10 dot series or 171 series or 192 series. In that series range itself, we required a peering should be there. In that range itself, that means within the reserved range of private ranges itself, we should have those IPs and conflict of cider ranges are not allowed. What is the meaning of conflict of cider? Say, assume one VPC is already having 10.10 series and another one also in 10.10 series if we have, then both are having the duplicate kind of IPs. At that moment, VPC peering is not possible. Okay, both should have separate ranges itself. If I have the conflict of cider, we'll get the duplicate IPs, then the connection is not possible. And by default, we don't get transitivity. What is the meaning of transitivity is, assume A to B, one VPC is there peering and B to C also we have the peering. Then by default, we don't get A to C peering, we don't get. what we need to do? Again, explicitly we need to enable if we want the peering between them. If we want the peering between them, then we need to provide that peering connection explicitly need to be connected. Explicitly we need to provide. Yeah, any doubts on this? So these are all the three conditions. Definitely we should be having the reserved private ranges itself, the IP should be there. Okay, so then second one is conflict of CIDRs are not allowed. Third one is, what is the third one? Transitivity, we don't get it. Transitivity, we don't get between them. Okay, yeah, any doubts on this? Okay, so then here we have the two different VPCs. One is acceptor. Okay, so then like who is going to accept, or we have one who is going to sender and acceptor. We have one VPC is the sender, second one is the acceptor. Both need to accept that VPCs, and we need to update the route tables also for the VPC connection. Okay, so here we need to add that VPC peering, then like 5 IPs what are reserved. Okay, and VPC maximums we'll discuss in the next session. Okay, and there is one concept called as VPC flow logs at the NACL level or at the instance level. Like we can configure flow logs. Like someone tried to access that NACL or like our resource, we can have a logging. So from CloudWatch, we can monitor. For that, what we need to enable? We need to enable VPC flow logs. What is the advantage of enabling VPC flow logs?
We can monitor them.
Yeah, we can monitor who is trying to access that and whether that is success or failure. Okay, all those we can manage. So for that purpose, we are going to use VPC flow
VPC
logs. We are going to use. Okay. Yeah, any doubts on this? Then we
By
have
default,
by default we don't get that flow logs. Explicitly, we need to enable that.
okay.
Okay, so those logs we can see it from the CloudWatch. Okay, or we can integrate even with the S3 also. Those also, how to set up that flow logs also we'll discuss. And we have the endpoints, we have VPC endpoints. So those also we'll discuss VPN gateways. So those all we'll discuss in the next sessions. First we'll finish all these lab. Yesterday videos also go through once. Today spend some time and go through those videos also. Okay.